Now the question is, if we are having a national vector-borne disease control program, then what are the diseases that we are going to cover? Are we going to cover every disease? Every vector-borne disease are we going to cover? Then what are the diseases that we are going to cover? The answer is very simple. If we are trying to do a public health program, we will try to address only those diseases which are of public health concern, or diseases which vector-borne diseases which constitute a public health problem. So broadly, our national vector-borne disease control program was covering how many diseases? Six. Which were malaria, filaria, visceral leishmaniasis or Kala-azar, and dengue, chikungunya, and Japanese encephalitis. Okay. A seventh disease has also been included, which is Zika. Okay. So if you look at the diseases that are included under the aegis of the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, you have 7 diseases. Now of these 7 diseases, only one is transmitted by a non-mosquito vector, which is, so if we look at the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, then we see that it used to include 6 diseases. Of those 6 diseases, 5 were mosquito-borne disease and 1 was Kala-azar, which was borne by the vector sandfly or Phlebotomus argentipes. Okay. The 7th disease that has been included is also mosquito-borne, and that is Zika. Okay. So these are so all of the mosquito-borne diseases are diseases of public health importance. Okay. So if you are thinking of the vectors that we are going to be mainly concerned about through the vector-borne disease control program, then what are they? They are only
mosquitoes and sandflies.
Mosquitoes and sandflies. Okay. So going ahead, if we want to look at how does the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program work? So just like any other program, the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program also comes under the banner of the NHM. Okay. The National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program also comes under banner of the NHM or the National Health Mission, where at the central level, you have the Directorate of National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. So at the central level in the ministry, you have the Directorate of the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program under the aegis of NHM, linked to the Directorate General of Health Services, known as DGHS. Okay. So at the central level, you have the Directorate of NVBDCP. If you go to Delhi, you will see that just in the campus where you have the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, there only the Directorate of NVBDCP is also existing. Okay. Under the central, you will have the state cells, the State Vector-Borne Disease Control Department. Okay. State Vector-Borne Disease Control Department. Okay. And there you will have the State Project Officer, State Program Officer. You will have the State Program Officer. Okay. So at the state level, you will have the State Vector-Borne Disease Control Department, and there the apex officer, he will be the State Program Officer for the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program there. Okay. Running through the State Vector-Borne Disease Control set. Okay. Next. So in the state, you will have districts. Now, sometimes there will be few districts will be clubbed as subdivisions. Okay. So if you're having a subdivision, then you will have a subdivisional officer who will be responsible for taking care of the activities for the entire subdivision. Else you will have the District Vector-Borne Disease Control Unit. Okay. So in the District Vector-Borne Disease Control Unit, so who will be the head? The CMOH, the Chief Medical Officer of Health, who is the in charge of the public health activities for the entire district, is responsible for the district vector-borne disease control. Okay, and in that district, under the CMOH, usually there will be 4 or 3 additional CMOH. Okay, ACMOH. Okay, and among them, one of them will be given the responsibility of taking care of the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. Okay, but the totally it will come under the aegis of the CMOH. Okay, and as we will grow to the grassroots, then we will gradually have deprofessionalization, right? So here the multipurpose workers, the ASHA workers, and the medical officer in charge of the PHC will be responsible for ensuring that the activities are taken care at the level of the grassroots. Okay, so you have the central, then you have the state, then you have the district, and you have the, at the level of the PHC, you have the primary care that is being done by the public healthcare staff at the grassroots level, right? Now that you understand that organogram, so next thing that we want to understand is what are the activities that we will take part under this National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, right? So before we go into the activities, it is important to understand how this program has come into force. So if you understand, you will see that right at the time of independence, India has always had 2 perennial problems. Okay, one is its challenges with respect to population growth, and the other is its challenges with respect to this vector-borne diseases. Okay, so right from the time of independence, we are having 2 programs. One is the maternal and child health program, and the other is the malaria control program. Okay, but initially we were only focusing all of our efforts and strategies towards malaria. Okay, so in 1953, India had its National Malaria Control Program. And what were we doing under this National Malaria Control Program? What were we trying to do? We were trying to kill mosquitoes, right? We were trying to kill mosquitoes by using chemical insecticides. Okay. So do you remember some cardinal event that happened during the World Wars with respect to mosquito control? The World War, a lot of it was being fought in the tropical regions. Okay, and the armies were having huge casualties owing to mosquito-borne diseases. Okay, and then what they saw that they were spraying. They discovered DDT, and once they were discovered DDT, they were spraying DDT from the flights, low moving aircrafts. They were spraying DDT, and they were killing mosquitoes. Okay, and they thought that we would be able to control this problem of mosquito-borne diseases just by using this insecticide DDT. Okay, and the person who discovered DDT, he was given a Nobel Prize. Okay, for the discovery of DDT, right? So initially, we also started our National Malaria Control Program, thinking that we will control malaria. So going ahead, we became more optimistic. Okay, with the initial good results that we saw by spraying DDT, we became more optimistic. We thought that, okay, by 1958, our National Malaria Control Program, the name was changed into National Malaria Eradication Program. Okay, so we began with the National Malaria Control Program in 1953, and from our initial successes with DDT, we thought that we would be able to eradicate malaria. Okay, so in 1958, we named it as National Malaria Eradication Program. But then what had happened, we saw that malaria eradication was not possible. Gradually, we were having DDT resistance, and we were also having increase in the prevalence of the other mosquito-borne illnesses. Okay, and gradually with urbanization, you had the emergence of dengue. Okay, so from 1958 to 1999, we as a country, we realized that eradication of malaria was not going to be so easy. Okay, various methods were uptaken to control and to eradicate malaria, but they all failed. Okay, so going ahead in 1999, we changed the name of the program again, and it is named as the National Anti-Malaria Program. Okay, this is the beginning where not only malaria, but all mosquito-borne illnesses start to be taken into consideration. And finally, in 2002, you have the birth of the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, the NHA.